This is a story we've talked about before, so I guess we've done a few stories out of New Hampshire, but we're going to talk about those two individuals that you guys just saw on my screen with the child by the name of Elijah Lewis, who was affected in this story. But before we go into the details, let me give you guys a disclaimer without turning off my camera. Some viewers may find the following content offensive and controversial. The information in this video comes from multiple sources, including court records, official police charges, news web articles, and interviews. This video commentary also contains my personal opinions about the facts of this story. The point is to use this story as a cautionary tale in hopes of preventing tragedies like these to children going forward. Viewer discretion is advised. That is your official disclaimer. And we are getting this story from cbsnews.com, so thank you for the article. So Concord, New Hampshire. This is another story y'all are taking an L for. The New Hampshire mother of Elijah Lewis was sentenced to more than 50 years in life in prison, after she admitted to beating and starving the 5-year-old boy by the name of Elijah Lewis, who y'all just saw on my screen, before burying his body in a Massachusetts park. And I don't understand how you can have so little love and compassion in your heart to not only do that to any child at all, but to your own. And for that, I just think that there aren't enough years that you can give somebody in prison. I'd like to say maybe a life sentence, a permanent life sentence, no possibility of parole. Why do these people ever need to even think that they ought to be able to get out of prison for doing something like that? Beat him to death, starved him, and buried him in a park like he was nothing. Danielle Dauphinus, and I think that's how you pronounce it, I think I got it right, was facing a trial but pled guilty last month to second-degree murder and other charges in the death of Elijah Lewis in an agreement reached with prosecutors. She sobbed in court. Of course, she was only crying for herself because she didn't give a damn about her kid, clearly, right? She sobbed in court as the judge told her she knew exactly what she was doing, killing him hour by hour, day by day, and month by month. Dauphinus' boyfriend by the name of Joseph Staff pled guilty to manslaughter, who was the other damn fool. You see that fool right there on my screen? Both of these damn ugly ass idiots. Hurting kids. It's ridiculous. Joseph Staff pled guilty to manslaughter, second-degree assault, falsifying physical evidence, and witness tampering in the 2022 connection with the boy's death. He was sentenced to 22 to 45 years in prison. Elijah's autopsy showed he suffered facial and scalp injuries, acute fentanyl intoxication, malnourishment, and pressure ulcers. Prosecutors read and pressure ulcers can come from anything. It's just hard to know. Prosecutors read a series of text messages between Staff and Dauphinus that expressed hostility towards Elijah and frustration if he didn't behave according to their personal wishes. He said he wants food, and when he wants me to stop starving him because it's not nice, one said. And that's a text message. He said he wants food and he wants me to stop starving him because it's not nice. That's what this baby said. And she wrote it in a text message and still didn't give a damn. Another text message read, "I'm going to kill him and I mean it." And another one said, "I hit him with a shower rod. That's all I did." Some of the text from Staff and Dauphinus told her to give Elijah more food to fatten him up, quote unquote. So they knew that to me, every bit of this just begs for a life sentence. Elijah was born in Arizona in 2016, and his parents divorced a year later. Delphinus moved to New Hampshire in May of 2020. His father, Timothy Lewis, brought Elijah to live with Delphinus, Staff, and the 2-year-old daughter she had with Staff. They stayed in the basement of a home where Staff's mother also lived. That sounds like a hot freaking mess. However, by that fall, Lewis became concerned that Elijah wasn't getting proper medical care and contacted the State Division for Children, Youth, and Families. In a wrongful death lawsuit filed this past May against Delphinus, Staff's mother, and the Child Services Agency, Lewis described Elijah as having developmental challenges and a difficult behavior pattern that had worsened in New Hampshire. A lawyer for the division has asked for the lawsuit to be dismissed, saying that the agency did not have custody of Elijah. A message-seeking comment was sent to a lawyer representing Staff's mother. No attorneys are listed for Staff or Delphinus in the lawsuit. There's a little bit more. Let's keep going. And thank you for those who are able to donate. I appreciate that. Thank you, Mrs. Alicia F. Baby. I appreciate you. Said, help share this podcast. The AFC has saved children's lives. And I'm so grateful for that. That is our goal. Our ultimate goal is to try to prevent this. But thank you so much. I love you, and I appreciate that message. A visit to the doctor in November 2020 showed that Elijah weighed 32 pounds. Or 14.5 kilograms, depending on where you live at, so you can make that determination as to how much that is. It had bruises on his face, eye, and arm, prosecutors said. Delphinus later told the agency that her son was sent to California to live with Delphinus' sister, a custody arrangement the father had agreed to, but Delphinus did not follow through, prosecutors said. By October 2021, Delphinus had given birth to a boy at home, prosecutors said. Staff brought the infant to a hospital with the intent to leave him there. The hospital found evidence of drugs in the baby and contacted the Child Service Agency, which opened an investigation. The agency could find no signs of Elijah. Delphina said her son was with her sister and then her brother. Both relatives told investigators that Delphinus had contacted them and asked them to lie about Elijah's whereabouts. Now, there was a body found in Abingdon. Prosecutors believe Elijah died in September 2021, and the couple put his body in a container and brought him to the Abingdon Park, where staff dug a hole and buried him. They treated this baby like he was nothing. Put him in a container and buried him like you were burying a damn dog or something. When Elijah was still missing, the two of them, Staff and Delphinus, were arrested in New York. Days after their arrest, Elijah's remains were found. Prosecutors said that when Elijah was found, he was 3 feet tall and he only weighed 19 pounds. While an average boy would be 3.5 feet tall and closer to 40 pounds. I just will never understand why people do this. And I'm just at a point where I just realize it just needs to be punished. And we need harsher penalties for people who are this damn depraved. It just needs to be punished. So maybe people will be discouraged from doing stuff like this. Let me give you guys a disclaimer and then we'll go from there. Not a disclaimer, but fair usage. Federal law allows citizens to reproduce, distribute, or exhibit portions of copyrighted motion pictures, videotapes, or video discs under certain circumstances without the authorization of the copyright holder. This is called fair use. It is allowed for purposes of criticism, news reporting, teaching, and parody, which doesn't infringe of copyright under 17 U.S.C. 107. And I like that. I'm glad we got a live chat. He said, you can't rationalize psychopaths. I 100% agree. Y'all would do me a favor and please hit that thumbs up and share this video so more people can see it. I love for stories like this to go viral so more people can really know what's going on. I hate to think that so many people in our society have no idea that this boy went through this type of stuff. So please leave a comment and hit the thumbs up. Here we go.
At 4, the New Hampshire mother who pled guilty to killing her 5-year-old son has just learned her fate. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Colton Bradford.
I'm JC Monahan. NBC 10's Darren Botello was in court for the sentencing today. He joins us live from Nashua with the breaking details.
JC and Colton, we were in court. Very disturbing images of 5-year-old Elijah Lewis. You could see the trauma to his face in these pictures, obviously abused. His mother now heading to prison after today's sentencing.
I did not know what to do. I was also deep in my addiction and not making great choices.
The New Hampshire mom who pleaded guilty to killing her 5-year-old son, Elijah Lewis, now sentenced to 50 years to life in prison on a second-degree murder charge. 38-year-old Danielle Dauphiné breaking down in tears, unable to finish reading her statement during her sentencing on Friday afternoon.
Such as not contacting DC to get the help Elijah needed because I was afraid that my daughter and my unborn baby I can't do it.
The sentencing lasted from late morning until mid-afternoon at Hillsborough County Superior Court South in Nashua, the same courthouse where back in 2022, Dauphiné's boyfriend pleaded guilty to charges tied to Elijah's death and sentenced to several decades in prison. Dauphiné has been in custody now for about 3 years, since around the time Elijah's body was found buried in a Massachusetts park.
I hate this kid. I want to kill him. I want him dead.
The prosecution in their presentation on Friday with disturbing messages sent by Dauphiné before Elijah's death in September 2021, prosecutors showing Elijah's last photo here with evidence of abuse. They say he was deprived of food and water, beaten, and eventually weighed only about 19 pounds.
I don't see how you can beat this child down to nothing like this and be sad. You said selfish tears. She doesn't cry for the child, but for herself. Well said. Thank you. You guys know I've spoken on that plenty of times. It's very, very selfish. Now she cries. Thank you. How many of y'all think this is pathetic? Because I do. I think this is sick and pathetic. And they sit there, oh, it's okay. They patting her on the back. It's okay. Have a seat. It's okay. I was going to take care of you. I was going to get you a light sentence. I was going to tell the judge that you were suffering from mental illness, y'all. Fuck out of here.
The judge on Friday handing down the sentence while Dauphiné's attorneys were asking for 35 years to life in prison.
It's a case that deserves significant, severe, and prolonged incarceration.
And JC and Colton, Dauphiné was also hit with 2 other.
Tim Lewis lives out west. He says he last saw his son Eli, as he's known by family, in November of 2020.
So that's the biological father, just so y'all know.
It was Thanksgiving of 2020 via FaceTime, and he was totally fine. Just a kid on Thanksgiving.
Eli was living in New Hampshire at the time with his mother, Danielle Dauphiné. Lewis says shortly after that call, Dauphiné cut off communication.
I tried countless times. Obviously, it was the holidays, so I tried over and over and over again throughout the holiday season and beyond.
Eli was reported missing in October of 2021. His remains were found later that month, buried in a park in Massachusetts. An autopsy showed he died of violence and neglect. Dauphiné pleaded guilty to second-degree murder and other charges connected to Eli's death and was sentenced last week to more than 50 years in prison.
justice in the form of the legal system can only go so far, and there's never justice for something like this.
Stephen, Jen, it was a very emotional and long hearing today, some 6 hours. Dauphiné was sentenced, and she will be 88 years old before she has any chance at release. You may remember last month, Dauphiné pleaded guilty to 1 count.
So Dauphiné, Dauphinus, whatever. Y'all know who I'm talking about. Dauphiné, whatever.
Of second-degree murder and 2 counts of witness tampering. Today, prosecutors provided graphic details about how Dauphiné contributed to her son Elijah's death, telling the court that she committed the most heinous crime through brutal torture perpetrated over the course of many months. They say Dauphiné repeatedly assaulted Elijah, isolated him in a room, deprived him of food, clothing, and basic care. An autopsy showed Elijah weighed just 19 pounds at the time of his death. Dauphiné took time to address the court today, telling the judge she too was abused as a child, saying it severely impacted her life.
Even so, Elijah never deserved any of the abuse. Parents are supposed to take care of their child, and I wish that I could have could have done better and take it all back. I didn't know how to make better decisions at the time.
So I want y'all to think about what she's saying. You are now in prison, and you know that what you went through was wrong, allegedly. Allegedly. Knowing that was wrong, knowing what you went through, allegedly, because I think that might be bullshit. She could be just making that up. Don't put it past her to be lying about that. But let's just say, even if it were true, if you know how horrible and dark that feeling is, why would you do that to your own child, your own flesh and blood, knowing how it made you feel, allegedly? I think she's lying. I just think she's an evil, stinking ass bitch. All right? That's just that simple. She's just hateful and selfish. Didn't love this kid. Only had this boy to collect benefits off of him. And what do we call that here at the AFC? Hashtag babies for benefits for people who only have children to collect benefits off the kids. Don't give a damn about the kids. And that's why they have them. Because they get free shit off the backs of these kids. Hashtag babies for benefits.
This photograph, not others that I've seen in this case, is what will really stay with me.
Judge Charles Temple says the photo is how he and the community should remember Elijah Lewis. The child's mother, Danielle Dauphiné, pleaded guilty to killing the 5-year-old in 2021. She and her boyfriend then dumped the body in a state park in Abingdon.
He did not die within hours or days. Instead, it was the result of continuous torture.
Prosecutors laid out evidence, including photos that Elijah was abused, starved, neglected, and living in a bathroom. One disturbing image reveals Elijah's poor condition before his death.
It's an abhorrent, heinous, prolonged terror and torture of a 5-year-old boy, inspired by pure hate.
The judge pointing to Dauphiné's hate-filled texts and messages, including one calling the child a maggot.
I look at this. This is not a maggot. It's a beautiful little boy.
Dauphiné's defense says her addiction and history as an abused child left her ill-equipped to handle Elijah, who they say suffered severe behavioral issues. Dauphiné herself speaking to the court.
I know even then that Elijah needed help and I couldn't provide him. Even with Elijah's behavioral issues, his death should never have happened, and I wish that I could have could have done better and take it all back.
I want y'all to think about this. This boy was, how old was he? 5? Yeah, he's 5. Think about that. Think about that. It wasn't like she just had this boy, was going through what people like to refer to as postpartum depression and all of that. You went year after year after year after year after year till this boy was 5 years old and you killed him. That's not an all of a sudden thing. That is torture. That's what that is tantamount to. Torture. To slowly, like they said, day by day, month by month, year by year, kill this boy. That's torture. And she wants to make it seem like her upbringing made her behave like this. No, that is your mindset. It has always been your mindset. You've been treating this baby bad this entire time.
53.5 years to life sentence includes the murder charge as well as charges for witness tampering. Dauphin will be 88 years.
No, I think it was 15 pounds when the child is supposed to be like 40 pounds. I'll go back and look at it. That might not be exactly right, but he basically weighed half of what children his own age should weigh. But in closing, I think they got the sentence right with both of them. And that's really all you could do. A sentence is not going to bring this boy back. It's not going to make these people do anything except just have to deal with what they dealt, just not be in society anymore, not have access to any more children, and sit there in that prison cell all day, every day for the next 30 to 50 years, whatever it is, and think about what they've done and live with that every day. They're never going to be better people. They're always going to be crap people. Their souls will be met in hell by Satan, hopefully sooner than later. But nonetheless, this little boy, Elijah, young prince, R.I.P. He absolutely deserved better, completely better. But thank you guys so much for listening, and that's probably going to wrap us up with this story. Please leave a comment in the comment section. If you have more to add to this, let's continue the conversation and share this video so that Elijah's story can go viral. Thank you.